1 year.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Judge.
1 year filled with battles over businesses, bicycles, and baseball. And a battle just to hang on to his job.
Sam Adams stole this election.
After his first year on the job, Portland Mayor Sam Adams delivers his State of the City address and makes his first appearance here on Straight Talk to talk about new proposals and ongoing issues. From News Channel 8, this is Straight Talk with Laurel Porter.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight on Straight Talk. I'm Laurel Porter and I'd like to welcome my guest tonight, Portland Mayor Sam Adams. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is your first time on our show.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Laurel.
You gave your State of the City address on Friday.
I did.
Outlined your vision for the city, and I was there, I listened to it, and I talked to people afterwards, and they said it seemed that you had more confidence this year compared to last year when you gave your State of the City, and that was shortly after the scandal broke involving Beau Breedlove, and you admitted to the people of Portland that you'd had a relationship with a teenager and that you'd lied to get elected and asked him to lie, and then you had to give your State of the City. So a year later now, with this State of the City, people seem to think you seemed more confident and had the confidence of your convictions in leading the city. Is that a fair assessment?
I'm from day one, before or after the controversies. You know, I'm focused, I ran on and I'm focused on, you know, addressing the tough issues that Portland faces and making sure that we're out there to seize absolutely every opportunity. And that's what I'm focused on.
The year last year started out, though, with such promise. And I wanted to show you something I saved. I'm a hoarder. I collect all kinds of newspaper articles, and this was...
I think there's a 12-step program.
My husband's worried about me, but I've saved this, and this is from November of 2008. You probably remember this. This was an insert in the Oregonian. It says, your sneak preview of the city's new era. And it shows you, and you're smiling with all of your commissioners. And it was less than 2 months later that the scandal broke with Breedlove. It can't be the year that you had hoped it would be when you posed for that picture.
Listen, the agenda that I outlined at my swearing in, again before any of the controversies, the agenda I outlined, we for the most part got it done this year. And that's really the proof in the pudding. And you know, most fair-minded observers would say that this was an incredibly productive year for the Portland City Council. But and even the reporters for the Oregonian, and you know, a newspaper that's no friend of mine, you know, when they reviewed my first months in office, the months that you're talking about, you know, in terms of delivering on what I said I would do, we got a A-B+. So
what grade would you give yourself for this last year?
I leave it to others. It's not my place to grade myself. I'm never satisfied with my performance. I'm never completely satisfied with what's been accomplished. I'm a public servant. I feel the urgency of this 100-year economic storm that's not just battering the country, but is really whacked Portland. So my focus on increasing business success and the family wage jobs that come with them, of increasing the graduation rate, where right now 4 out of 10 8th graders do not graduate on time, promoting Portland as a hub for clean technology, a hub of sustainability. That's what people elected me to do, and that's what I'm focused on.
I want to go back to what you talked about, the high school dropout rate, because that was something you talked about, but you sort of seemed to back away from it, some people thought, in the beginning of the year, because off the whole thing with Beau Breedlove, you said you had been his mentor, which turned out to be a falsehood. Did that hurt your credibility with the schools and the education community during the year?
The point is what did I say I was going to do? Working with Multnomah County Chair Ted Wheeler, we said, we had months, when I was sworn in January, we had a matter of months to put together, the Portland Multnomah Summer Youth Connect. And we did that. Very little time, almost no money. In the midst of, the economy cratering, we managed to, involve 1,300 high school students and, summer work experience, visitations to workplaces and colleges. Summer school, that's more summer school, more summer student programming than we've seen ever in the city of Portland.
So you think you have your credibility with the education community?
My work is to deliver for the education community. Again, that's what I'm focused on.
I want to ask you, when you came back from the president's inaugural, you had to come back early, and face the allegations that were coming out in the Willamette Week. And there was a time when you thought about resigning. You actually wrote a resignation speech that later surfaced. And I just want to read just a line from it. This is from January 21st, 2009. At this time of economic crisis, the city can ill afford the distraction it would create if I was to continue on as mayor. So I resigned as of 2 p.m. today. You never resigned. Why didn't you resign? What was going through your head then when you wrote that?
Listen, I was elected on a very specific agenda and have worked this first year with, great partnerships throughout the community, great work with my colleagues on the city council, agree or disagree. Portlanders should know that we have their back, that we're working to not just recover from this recession, but to make Portland more permanent resilient. That's what I'm focused on, and when I say I'm focused on it, I mean it. That's what I'm focused on.
What convinced you not to resign? Why did you end up writing that speech?
Again, my focus is on bringing more family wage jobs to the community, increasing the 8th grade graduation rate, and making Portland the hub for the nation's new clean technology. That's what I'm focused on.
So you never thought about resigning?
The issues of the day are very serious. The challenges we face are significant.
So that's what made you stay in the office?
Our opportunities are also significant, and that's what I focus on.
Let me ask you about the recalls that have been going on. There was one recall that didn't get enough signatures and failed, but now there's a second recall going on that has a little more backing from high-powered people with more money. You have Ron Tonkin, an auto dealer, behind it, and Tim Boyle from Columbia, and former State Senator Ava Gordley's out in front. And she's asking, I just want to read a little bit of what she's saying. She says, Sam Adams has broken our trust. He must be recalled. This issue needs to be put before Portland voters so they can decide the city's future. This is about uplifting the integrity and character of our city and rejecting the politics of win by any means necessary. And she asks you to embrace the recall and show leadership by signing the petition so that people can once and for all vote for you with all the facts on the table. Would you sign that petition?
Listen, when I say two things. One, Portlanders are fair-minded people. And two, when I say I'm focused on improving the economic position of Portlanders and increasing the number of 8th graders that graduate from high school and making us a center of clean technology, I mean it.
So you don't want to think about the recall? You just put that aside and just, you have the steely-eyed focus, you say, just you're focused on what you want to get done and you don't want to be distracted by the recall?
Again, I think Portlanders are fair-minded people. I'm focused on the issues that they care most about.
Well, let's talk about your leadership, because there are some people that said during this last year there was a leadership vacuum. Some columnists had written about that, and they said that Randy Leonard was actually running the show. Do you think that's the case?
Again, being mayor is inherently controversial. I've been a chief of staff to the mayor, and I know if you're gonna get something done, you gotta prioritize and you gotta focus, and that's what we've done.
So you were running the show?
Engaging in this sort of chattering class, rumor and innuendo. People don't expect me to, to get into it and to engage with it, and I'm not gonna.
Okay, let's talk about the police bureau, because that's one thing that you, I read that it's the first time in 30 years that a Portland mayor has assigned a commissioner to run the police bureau. Usually that's the mayor's job to do that. Why did you assign that to Dan Saltzman and not do that yourself?
Public safety in the city, when you look at Part 1 and Part 2 crimes, are down to 1960 levels. And I've been the chief of staff to a mayor who was going through, as a leader, a recession. And the police bureau needs a full-time city commissioner on top of that. And so it is in the best interest of the city to have a full-time police commissioner, and that's why I asked Dan Saltzman to do it. In addition to that context of, we've got our issues, public safety issues, there's no question about it. But Again, crime rates are as low as they've been in a couple of generations. So that allows me to focus on the economy. That allows me to focus on education. Those are two issues that are not at, success levels that we've previously been at, that a mayor needs to focus considerable time and attention on, because if we don't address them, it'll drag the rest of the city down, including increasing our crime rate.